Hi, I'm James Shillinglaw here at Internova Plus at Glen Eagles here in Scotland. This is my first conference. It's actually only their fourth year, and I'm here with a familiar face, Albert Herrera, who's the Executive Vice President, Partner Relations for Internova Travel Group, and he's the one who's the mastermind behind all this, and it's been a wonderful event. And really have the cream of the crop of all the luxury travel sellers in Internova. And you're going to find out about all that and more on Insider Travel Report. Albert, first of all, I have to thank you. You and I have been talking about this for a while. You said, I want you to come and see this. And I think you invited me almost a year ago when I think about it.
Exactly. It was a year ago when I invited you. But I think you had a conflict. But I did promise you to come to this year because it was going to be a very special one. This is our first international event for Internova Plus.
Yeah, and we're in a lovely property, Glen Eagles, one of my favorites. This is about the fourth time I've been here, so I do knew it pretty well, and so I couldn't miss out on that. But let's talk about Internova Plus. Again, you said this is your fourth one, but what is Internova Plus? Why are we here?
Well, it all started in 2022, right when I joined Internova. Right? There was an opportunity. We have obviously a large, I guess you might say, universe of advisors from all over in different brands. And a lot of the partners came to me and said, Alberto, what is this Internova you joined? And I said, well, I would explain. So when I started to explain, it's the Pro and the Zell and the Andrew Harper and the Nexion, then they started to get it. I'm like, you know what? So let's do the following. So and I started to look under the hood. And we also know that Internova is the largest seller of travel and luxury travel as well. So which that news really wasn't getting out there before you arrived. Yeah. It was, every brand, and I'll say brand respectfully, stood on its own, and sometimes the goals were competing, in terms of I'm better than you kind of sort of things, right? And the different, I guess they made the cliques that made it happen. So that's when I told JD I'm going to do an event, and he said, but we have many events. I said, no, indulge me on this one. Let's do it. And, we had some space. We found space at the Fairmont Grand Del Mar in 2020, which actually was 2022 that we made it happen. Right. And we brought, at that time, it was still the end of COVID, we brought the best advisors, like the 1% at that time. And it was a leap of faith because people didn't know what we were doing. And we had about 220 people at that time, and it sort of brought everyone together, and it was surprising to see, as JD referenced the other day, Nexion advisors playing pickleball with Pro advisors at that time, and Zell. It brought the community together, and that's what we want. And then, of course, fast forward, here we are 4 years later. It's a more refined, more I guess, qualified audience. We have the advisors actually have to apply. They have to put on their credentials, what their social media handles are, the kind of business they book, to make sure they qualify for this, regardless of where you are within the Internova universe.
But earlier today you mentioned something about this really is kind of unifying Internova itself. It seems you have representatives from all the different brands as you were talking about. We have representatives from Global Travel Collection, which is really focused on selling luxury. We have Travel Leaders Network. We have Nexion. We have Altor. We have all these advisors, Andrew Harper, everyone you can think of who's selling luxury, and you have representatives from all of them, and they're all here. And JD O'Hara, as you mentioned, is here taking a look and seeing how this is all coming together, right?
It's a proud moment for all of us, really, because at the end of the day, these advisors, it's a community, it's a culture. And we're tapping into that pride that they have for their own specific brands, but also making them understand that being part of Internova makes them even stronger and more powerful, which aligns with what we've done with our programs over the years.
I do want to talk to you about those programs because when you arrived, you started putting in all these unified programs for hotels, obviously, which you've been doing for years. And so you've put in different hotel collections for them. You're starting to do cruise, you're doing tour, in-country partners. Yes. Talk about the programs that you've developed in the last 4 years for Internova.
Well, when I first got to the company, there was a program already in place, but no disrespect, it was a bit of a mishmash. There was a lot of different things thrown in there. It was like a bouillabaisse. So the advisors sort of confused about it, but more importantly, there was no brand recognition. So if an advisor, one of the advisors, booked the program, and they'd end up at the Ritz in Paris or wherever, and they'll say, "Hi, I'm part of the." At that time, it was called Select Program. They'll say, "Select what?" So I'm like, "Yeah." So we sort of changed that. We cleansed it, we aligned it, we took hotels that didn't fit the portfolio, we allocated it to another category that would sell, that made it that would resonate with their value proposition. The advisors had to know what they were as well, and sort of subsegmented that, and also the training. So hotels around the world, and this hotels, even the advisors knew what they had in store, versus having to look outside before they would support our programs.
No, and you've gone and done that, and now you're busy working on cruise programs and working on tour in country. You're building that up, and actually you're going to have a unified website, I understand, that's going to have connections to all the partners you have, supplier partners around the world.
We do. I mean, there's a lot of things in the works. The website is taking a tad longer, but that should be the one source of truth for everything that will help all the advisors and partners that are part of the Internova portfolios to access the wealth that we have underneath, right? To have them connect this community. And the one thing as well that the Internova simply is, and how do I say this very humbly, is the largest. We are unique in our own space because of the size, the depth and breadth of what we sell and the volume that we bring across the industry. So we approach it from, yes, we're large, but how do we make sure that we are as small as we can be when we want to be? Right. Because our conversations with partners is very different when it's a large hotel chain or a very big airline, for example, versus when you're dealing with a 20-room hotel in the south of Italy kind of thing.
No, and I got it. And so one of the questions I had is, you've done these kind of programs before in your previous lives, but what is different this time with Internova, with the resources you have with Internova, that you can build something that you really want to build?
The industry has changed and will continue to change. So from a resource perspective, I have a great team that's been with me now for, oh my God, almost 3, 4, 5 years, varying degrees of experience. They're all passionate. They know what the advisor of today wants and needs. And to me, that is it, because you're buying intellectual knowledge, right? The passion. And we continue, just because a program works doesn't mean to say it'll be relevant for the future. Right. And that's what we keep doing. We keep tweaking, and we will continue to tweak. Here's a good example. Distinctive Voyages, which is our cruise program, massive in scale and scope, right? Travel Leaders started that about 15, 18 years ago. Yeah. That is changing. That's under my purview now. So it works, right, for all of Travel Leaders. But how does that work for our other entities within the company as well?
And they're all using the same program.
They are using the same program, but do they understand it? Because again, Travel Leaders knows it. I mean, the advisors know it, but with other entities within Internova understand it, because one time it was strictly branded Travel Leaders. So all the branding moving forward will be called Internova programs.
Well, that was one of the things I want to get to you about branding, because you obviously do have a lot of groups here. The Global Travel Collection sells luxury, Travel Leaders Network sells luxury, all the ones we talked about. But you also have this overarching Internova brand, and at least from the supplier side so far, you are really trying to push that out. I only say that because I've been to how many different ILTM cons, and you had that huge sign in front of the Palais. I'm like, oh, they're really pushing that brand. Are you really going to be pushing that not only to the industry, but also to consumers?
That's still a debate, because Internova is a B2B brand, right? And as we always say, if we had $10 million or even $1 million and we were to take a Super Bowl ad, what would we feature on TV.
Right. What would be the brand?
What would be the brand? And that is a debate. Is it GTC? Is it Travel Leaders? So all those things have to be factored in. But one thing is for sure, in the industry, the Internova brand does resonate. And we can tell it. We can tell by the excitement here from the partners and the advisors that regardless of where they may be CTS in Mexico or Nexion or Travel Leaders or GTC, they're all proud to be part of Internova at Internova Plus.
Well, that's good. That's a good question, because I was wondering about the different brands that are in. You have so many brands, but Internova is becoming its own brand, with, as you said, within the industry. Are you going to carry that through to being a consumer brand? Well, we'll see at some point.
See. We will see. That is still obviously that's we akin ourselves to LVMH, right?
Okay, yeah.
Right, the house of brands. If you think about it, the maisons or the houses. You have the parent, which is LVMH. Then you have, of course, Louis Vuitton itself. Then Dior, and then you have Sephora, and then you have all these things.
Yeah.
So think about that. So how do we make sure that it does resonate, not just for the people within the company, but also externally as well?
Now, here we are. You have enormous luxury sales, as you pointed out at the conference earlier. Where do you see luxury sales going for Internova in the next 5 years?
I mean, luxury sales is the driver. I mean, let's face it. Let's be real here as well. I mean, if you look at what we book with the various cruise lines around the world, right through Travel Leaders, it is massive. But the big driver is luxury sales. I mean, the more expensive the villa, the more expensive the yacht. We had a presentation this morning, right, with our friends from Orient Express and their new Corinthian yacht that's being launched. And then obviously
plus all the hotels and the train and everything else.
The list goes on, and people are actually craving for that. They're craving for this kind of, and there's just so much more wealth in the world, and our advisors are adept to that, and they're making sure that they're on top of that. That's why events like this are important.
Very good. Well, Albert, I want to thank you for inviting me. It's great. Anything else more you want to tell our viewers about Internova and luxury and Internova Plus?
A lot more is in the works for Internova. A lot more is in works actually for what we are doing in the space in terms of raising the bar, evolving the bar really, in terms of what advisors, partners, and more importantly, I guess you might say the industry in itself is going to be looking for. So stay tuned, and we're excited to partner with all of you out there in the industry. And thank you for believing in our story.
There you have it. From Glen Eagles, Internova Plus, I'm James Schillinglaw, and this is Insider Travel Report.